Welcome, everybody, to our amazing podcast. I actually have two podcasts, so now I'm getting confused in terms of the title of this podcast, but this one is on relationship. It's Happily Ever After Through the Calm and the Storm. And then I have an amazing relationship nerd. Coach that is here with me today, Wendy McDowell. Please welcome her onto my podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I've so enjoyed our conversations leading up to this, so I can't wait to dive in.
Yes, absolutely. And we talked a little bit before, so there's so many juicy stuff. We're both relationship coach, and well, talking about relationship is like, for me anyways, feel like eating chocolate and more. So let me do a brief introduction to Wendy, and she is so much more than what the introduction I'm going to say. So Wendy, please expand and add in as needed. So Wendy McDowell is a relationship, like I said, she's a nerd for that. She's been doing this for a long time, and in the workplace, she's always been the one that kind of helped patch up conflicts and resolution and helping people bring together. But then she realized during that whole situation that it also needed to be translated at home. And she was going through various different relationships, some outright abusive, and some are really not fun to be around until actually she invested over 20,000 of getting other relationship training to really crack the code of what does it takes to make two people come together and truly connect to the core of truly deeply knowing who they are and accepting them for what the person is without wanting to change them. And she's able to do that in her own relationship, and now she's spreading that love and joy to helping ignite the connection and intimacy with couple as well. So Wendy, kudos to you. I love this.
Hey, I absolutely love my job. It makes every day fantastic. I get up every day. Like Monday is no longer a problem for me. It's like, yay, it's Monday. But the thing that really brought this home for me is I was struggling in my own relationships, like you mentioned. And
Mhm.
I thought that I had to fix myself first before I could do relationship. And there was some work I had to do after coming out of that abusive relationship. There's some trauma work I had to do. But
Right.
the reality is, and I've learned this, that you actually can heal and grow so much faster when you are partnered, as long as you're with a partner that is also trying to heal and grow. And that's kind of the tricky part. So the thing that I had to know going in and oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Technology. It's all good. It's all good.
And it's off. It's off. I don't know. That was wild. Sorry. My
It's all good.
apologies. But the thing that really had to happen for me before I could do anything else is I had to get real about what I wanted and what I was
Mhm.
about. So once I did that, there was no looking back. And, we spend money on, if your car breaks down, you take it to the mechanic. If you're, oh gosh, I don't know, if you break your ankle, you're going to go and see a doctor. And
Yes.
yet, so often we don't think about, hey, this is my relationship that I want to last my whole life. Maybe I should
Yes.
invest a little in taking care of it. So that's kind of the mindset I took into my training. And it was a really big difference maker, just having that one little shift of, no, this is important. This is worth it. And I wasn't even in a relationship at that point when I first started.
Mm.
But so, like I said, I thought that I couldn't go there till I fixed some things. And as I went through this training and as I started learning about myself, I wasn't looking for a relationship at all. I was a hard no to that. I was like, no way, Jose, I'm not doing it. And of course, when you stop looking, boom, there he was, my
Yep.
amazing husband. And we just hit it off. We were friends. We talked a lot. We were long distance. We talked a lot via the Discord server that we built together, but because we're both nerds, but we spent so much time together before we actually spent time together. And before you knew it, it was like, no, this is my person. And I wasn't even looking. At first I was like,
Mhm.
wait, no, please shuffle off and come back in about a year or two when I'm all fixed. But
Yeah.
that's not how it went. And then I learned a lot more really cool stuff that we'll talk about later. I'm so excited for this. This is so much
Yes,
fun.
absolutely. Oh my God, I'm like itching with excitement, seriously. Thank you for sharing that. It is such a beautiful story because the truth is, all relationship require works. It's a daily intentional
Yeah.
investment into making that, you know, it's just like a flower, just like any plant, it needs nurturing, it needs the beautiful soil to actually make it prosper. So if you don't invest, like whatever you don't invest, or it's like training in your body, if you don't work it, it will actually get, you know, old and stuff. So in relationship, it's the same thing. It will start cracking. You'll start seeing the crack if you don't nurture and take care of it. So it's intentional, and it's something that you and I had mentioned about, that relationship is a daily intention of constantly committing and working towards bettering that relationship. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely something you have to be intentional about. Like
Yeah.
you said, like going to the gym or anything else. Like, and this is important. You want your body to last your whole life, you got to take care of it. You want your relationship to last your whole life, you got to take care of it.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's one thing that you said that was really good. I want to be able to touch those 2 points before we really dive in, is that when it comes to relationship, when you are in a relationship, they teach you so much about, you know, how you relate to the other person. For sure, there are certain ingredients which Wendy will dive into that you need to be able to do before you actually get into a relationship. But when you're in a relationship, growing, there's things that unless you're in a relationship, you won't know, you'll be challenged. You won't know that there's certain thing you need to work on. And I realized that in my relationship, I thought I was like, yeah, I'm doing this for a long time. I got this shit. Until I'm in a relationship, and then they cast like a mirror on, like,
Oh, yeah.
oh Lord, okay, I guess there's a couple more things I need to work on to better myself. I thought I was already at my best version, but we're always evolving, and it's okay. And I want people to remember this when it comes to relationship. It does not always mean that it's hard work. It's the simple things that you do every single day. And seriously, I'm pretty sure you agree with this, Wendy. It's all in the small thing, not so much in the
Absolutely.
huge, huge.
Mhm. Absolutely.
People think like I gotta go and buy her a ring, or I gotta go and build her a house. Yeah, yeah, it's great. But it's like the everyday, like when he makes you your favorite coffee,
Mhm.
when you're tired from working and your feet hurt and he gives you a foot massage,
Mhm.
those little things, or he buys you flower, like my boyfriend buys me flower, like surprise me once in a while because I love flowers.
Mhm.
And just those little things makes me feel like this is my love language. So
Even
absolutely.
like the little things, like when they're going to get you flowers, they remember which
Yes.
one is your favorite,
Mm.
you know?
Hmm.
And it's such a simple little thing, just that paying attention, noticing, taking interest. And
Yes.
it goes both ways, you know, it's got to be mutual. Mutuality, I think, is at the core of every good, solid relationship. And the nice thing is, if you are practicing and intentionally being aware of your mutuality so that it kind of is, you know, if they're doing stuff for you, you're doing stuff for them. Then when you have a period of time where maybe you're really busy, you're really swamped with other things, maybe you have a crisis in your family of origin, maybe you have a really extra heavy workload if you have a regular job, or, you know, any of a number of things that come up, or, you know, if you have a baby and your attention is consumed by the baby. If you've nurtured that mutuality all throughout, it's okay. They can pick up the slack for a while because they know they're going to get it back. And same for you, you know, you can pick up the slack for them when you have that solid knowledge that what goes around comes around. And when you need the extra support, they're going to be there for that. So mutuality is definitely, I think, at the core of building a great relationship.
Oh, I 100% agree with you for sure. I'm going to go slightly off topic, but I find this so good because you hit on such good point. I'm like, I got to dig the brain of my relationship nerd here and then just share this wisdom to the audience. What do you say would be the like the three most fundamental ingredients to make a solid foundation? Because one, you said mutual,
Mhm.
like appreciation and understanding with the other with your partner and stuff. So what are the other two, do you think, that is really needed? Because I'm curious, because I want to see if the answer is the same as what I have from my experience with my client and in my own relationship as well.
Yeah. So the first thing, and I'm glad I took the time to do this before this most recent relationship, because it was a big factor in why my previous relationships didn't work.
Yeah.
or at least one of them for sure. And that is, I really had to get to know myself.
Mhm.
If you don't know, if you don't have that clarity about who you are and what you want, it's really hard to hold your boundaries in a relationship in a healthy way because you don't even know what they are. So they can get, you think you're going to make a boundary and you put it out there, but it gets really porous because you're not really sure, is that my boundary? Is that where I need to be? So when I first started digging into that, it's like, okay, what are my non-negotiable needs? And let me tell you, I had a list a mile long.
Mhm.
Um, and I was trying to hold all those boundaries. And then as I worked through them, thank heaven, my partner is very patient with me because as I went through, it became clear to me that no, these things are important. Sure, they're nice to have a lot of these
Mm.
things. I would
Yeah.
like them, but I
Yeah.
don't need them. You have to be really clear on what is your absolute core, absolute, these are the non-negotiables. And that list is usually, if you're really, really honest with yourself, pretty small, but you have to
Mm.
defend that. You have to know without
Yeah.
doubt, if these things are not met, I will not be in this relationship. And you need to figure that out ahead of time,
Yeah.
ideally, because if you find it out after you're already committed, then you have a problem, you know? And that can be really challenging. Um, Definitely.
I want to add to that point. It is so true. If you learn to really know who you are and your boundary, because as we don't know ourselves. We're constantly knowing ourselves as we evolve too. But to have like a good portion of it kind of solved, it helps to be able to decipher the partner that is not a good fit for you. And trust me, when I actually did that after my 17 years relationship, after my divorce, I really took time to really get to know me. But I was always working on myself, anyways, very self reflective.
Mhm.
And what my non negotiable were, it allowed me to scan and filter to these online dating men that were just going to waste my time anyway. It was like,
Yeah.
nope, 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 nope. And I was so much more selective. When you're selective and
Mhm.
you know what you want, you don't waste your time. Like, because getting into a relationship, that means investing like a year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years. And most of us female, like guys too, we don't have time to waste with people investing in them, hoping they become whatever. You want to be able to get into a relationship with the person that is already a fit for you and that you don't
Mhm.
want to change them. And that's a big component that we're going to more is you don't want to change them to meet whatever expectation you have of them. Because chances are that it's going to be really difficult for them to sustain and make the relationship work.
Right.
So expand on this with me.
Yeah, so it's funny that you bring that up because that was kind of the second thing that was on my mind. Like you need
Mhm.
to know yourself. And the irony is we tend to attract people that are going to challenge us in the way that we need to grow. So that's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
it's also really important when you're in a relationship. And this is where getting to know yourself and your needs is really important so that you can filter better. Because what you
Mhm.
don't want to do is get into a situation where you're constantly trying to change your partner. If
Mhm.
you need them to be different in order to be in the relationship, that's a you problem. And a lot of people want to put that on their partner. It's like, no, you've selected poorly. Now, if they have some things about themselves that they want to grow and they want to learn, and they say, hey, this is where I am now, but I want to be here, and that's something that they want to do, that's great. Go ahead and support
Mhm.
them. You can do that. But if it's hey, I need you to be different, otherwise, ooh, I can't do this, that's a no-go, and you need to know that, and that's where it comes in really handy to know those core
Yeah.
things, because if it's a surface thing that maybe you can deal with, then that might be
Mhm.
workable. But if it's something really important to you and that person isn't already there, you're setting yourself up for a really bad time, and it's really unfair to them too. I mean, can you imagine being in a relationship where every single day that your partner is looking at you and saying, you're pretty cool, but you're not quite good enough? I mean, that's awful. We would never accept that for ourselves. And yet, so many
Mhm.
women, especially, want to do that. They take on a guy and think he's their project, Don't do that to yourself or them. Find
Mhm.
somebody who is able to meet your needs. And so, like I said, first you have to know what those are. Yeah. And so then the
And
third
I'm
thing,
guilty of
oh,
that too.
yeah. 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 Oh, trust
Yeah,
me.
go
I
ahead with the
learned the
third
hard
thing.
way. I
Yeah.
learned that the hard way for the
Yeah.
record. I am not perfected. And it's something I still struggle with. Even in my current relationship, as great as it is, there was definitely some things I was pushing on him and pushing on him and pushing on him. And I had to really sit back and evaluate, like, wait, hold up, practice what you preach. And I really went through, it's like, okay, is this thing that I keep harping on, is this something I really need?
Hmm.
Or is it just something that I would like and it's kind of frustrating? And I had to really sit with that for a while because it truly is a very important distinction. Because if it's something that just is something that would be nice to have and I could work with it, then I'm like, okay, my work is to work with me on this. And if it was something that I really needed to be different, then it would be a very different thing. It'd be, hey, maybe this isn't quite the right situation for us.
Hmm.
And so it turned out that it was something, after I sat with it for a good bit, that I was okay with working with myself on. And I really angsty about that, having been in a abusive relationship, because you kind of start second guessing your own judgment around that. So I had to really, really dig deep on that one. But it turned out it was fine, and he hasn't let me down yet. So it's been great. But you have to know that. And that's the work for me, at least, is knowing that. And then the last thing, I think the last ingredient that you really need to, once you know who you are and you've gotten with somebody who is compatible with that,
Hmm.
is you have to know how to fight, because you're going to. And that's the fantasy I think that we all grow up with. Oh, when you find the one, it will be so easy. Oh, hogwash. It is not. It can be
Yes.
easier if you learn how. And often, what's really cool is once you get really good at conflict, once you accept that conflict is not a bad thing and you get really good at it, then your conflicts actually end up being things that tend to bring you closer together, because you're able to really connect on a deeper level as you walk through it and understand each other better. And at the end of the day, if you're understanding each other better, it's going to bring you closer. And the skill comes in where each person ends up feeling good about the conversation. They feel heard, they feel understood. And that's a good feeling. And it's one we don't get out there in the world very often. So having that
Mhm.
safe home base with that person who is willing to take the time, dig in, and get underneath all this stuff and go deep with you is, oh, amazing. But it's not easy. But it's a skill set, and it's just like anything else, you
Mhm.
can learn it. And it just takes
Yeah.
practice, knowing how and practice. That's
Yes.
literally all
And
it
that's some
is.
yes, and that's something that is in your training, which we'll
Mhm.
actually discuss later as to what Wendy has like in store, all these different training that really are effective and helpful to couple. I love your answer. Like I had to hold back of interrupting. I'm glad you were able to go through all of it because it allows people to go, okay, these are the foundation that I need to see if it's part of my checklist in my relationship or we're heading in the right direction. I wish that was something that I knew like before getting into all these different
Yes.
relationships. I mean, well, we learn, right?
Yes.
And nothing happens for no reason. So I truly believe that it was meant to be. And we're here today and we're doing the relationship coaching because we needed those experience to actually be equipped and teach others.
Yep.
I wanted to add something to what you had said. Well, the last one with the ingredient of like knowing how to fight, I find that is huge, huge component
Mhm.
and so true. Like if I look at my past relationship, I'm like, we fight horribly. Like it's we are just not on the same page. And I always say that every time there is an obstacle, well, like Winston Churchill says, never let a crisis go. Oh my God, I always forget. What is it? Never let a good crisis go. God damn it. Seize basically what it comes down to is seize the opportunity of a crisis because there's opportunity behind it. So
Yes.
when there is a conflict, it really truly it's either going to break you or it's going to make the couple. So when you're able to overcome the conflict, it really truly allows you to like come even closer because nobody else understand you as the partner that's gone through this tough
Right.
time with you. It really does.
Mhm.
So I actually I don't look forward to conflict. No, not really. But I always see when a conflict arises, I'm like, we're about to go for an upgrade. This
Yep.
is what
Yep.
I tell myself.
Yeah, that's, it's funny because that's what I tell my clients when I'm sharing this idea with them to kind of, working on shifting their mindset around conflict. It's like, okay, now I'm not suggesting go out and pick a fight. Okay. However, and the thing is, like, they're really hesitant to try it. And I know I was too, with the small things. You think, oh, that's not a big deal. That's not important. But it's the small things when you address those every day and use the techniques and the skills that you're learning, you practice them on the small stuff so that you get really good at it. So it becomes almost second nature. And it just is how
Mhm.
you are instead of a thing you have to think about. And then when the big crisis comes and it's harder, exponentially
Yes.
harder, and your amygdala kicks out all this adrenaline and we call them the Uga chakas. Some people call them the primitives, the part of your brain when you flip your lid and you're just,
Yeah. Yeah.
ah, then at least you have this practice in there so you can access it so much faster because it's
Hmm.
just a groove that's worn in your brain. Our brains are really plastic. They can change if we take conscious effort to do it. But unless we build those bridges and those connections, it's hard to access them when our emotions are activated. So that's where,
Yeah.
like, don't sweep the little stuff under the rug. I described it to one of my clients. I was like, it's like this. You've got this shelf over your head and you're both standing underneath of it. And something
Hmm.
comes up and you think, oh, that's not a big deal. And you slap a lid on it and you put it on the shelf. We'll call it a can of worms, right? So you stick your can of
Hmm.
worms on the shelf and it's not that big of a deal. There's just a little can up there. It's fine. But by the time
Hmm.
you've got, hundreds of little cans up there, and then you get a big can comes up, a big thing, and you go to put that on the shelf, and the whole thing is going to come down on you. And that's, where you get
Hmm.
that thing where, and we've all been there, where you're arguing and you don't even know why because it was some little silly something, and all of a sudden you're talking about everything that happened in the past 10 years,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so the way to avoid that is to deal with those right away. And that's so foreign to people because we're always taught growing up, oh, don't make a big deal out of it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't make a big, oh, if I just get
Hmm.
heebie thinking about that. And it's not that you're making a big deal out of it. You're just not ignoring it.
Yeah.
Like I did in my previous relationship. Oh, that was awful.
Hmm.
That's the one that really drove me to get help with myself because it was a
Hmm.
whole hot mess.
Hmm.
Mm.
like like when you talk about these things, it brings to mind that two things comes to mind, and it's so dead on because one of the things that people are in a relationship they're extremely fearful about. I want to hit on two components. My brain works so fast, is like it's hitting so many times. I'm like, whoa, calm down. I can only think one at a time here. The first thing that you said with regards to resolving conflict is learning to practice it. And one of the things is creating a safe space for it, and which is
Mhm.
something that you mentioned. But what I want people to understand, because when I used to say to my partners, like, we need to talk, they're like, oh God, no. So it sets
Yep.
the tone for something that they don't look forward to. So you have to create in this practicing of discussing differences and conflict to make it in an environment where it doesn't feel daunting and heavy. And it's practiced through the partner that I've always told my partner, like my current partner, I mean, I did that in the past too, but I never understood. We were never on the same page, but not compatible. Anyway, so very important to find a compatible partner. Uh, but you have to know yourself to be able to know what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
But in this relationship is I realized that I create this safe space that when I bring up a topic, it's never in a judgmental to
Mhm.
tone. It's never looking for perfection. It's like, hey, baby, this is how I feel. I would love it if it's something that you can work on. But that's it. I don't have like any kind of expectation. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're failing me. And, it's too heavy on a person.
Mhm.
So when you go into a space of compassion and understanding and just being, really honoring you and speaking your truth,
Mhm.
without like the expectation, like I need this done or else there's like an automatum or a threat,
Yeah.
they feel it right away. But when you
Yep.
create a
Even if
safe
you don't
space,
say it.
exactly, exactly. And when you create just a space of like, these things happens and we're not perfect and we know that, but our relationship is important and I'm sharing with you because I value you. So it becomes almost like, like we're cleaning out, I don't know, like cleaning out the dust in the house that needs like tending. once in a while. So it becomes like, okay, she's just telling me these things, not because she's trying to harp on me, and he's telling me these things because he knows I can do so much better and he believes in me. It becomes like such a healthy environment that you can speak your truth. And when two partners, I value honesty a lot, and I value transparency in my relationship big time, depending on what your values are. So maybe it might be for some people, but I think this helps tremendously. Is I always speaks my truth in my relationship. And I think when you're not, as a person, able to speak your truth in your relationship or in other things and relationship, going back to your initial point when you were talking about, we invest money on repairing your cars, but then we don't invest our money into working on ourselves and working on a relationship. And there's two fundamental things when it comes to life happiness. The big one is relationship with yourself and relationship with the partner that you choose. So choose wisely. I've learned that the hard way, and I'm sure you did too, and so many others. Picking the wrong partner, God, the consequence never ends. It just keeps going.
Yeah, and it's so easy to
Paying for
blame.
years.
Yeah, and it's so easy to point the finger at the other person. And, maybe they did some things that were really awful, but at the end of the day, we chose to be there. And that's a huge thing. And it's a hard thing to look at. It's really hard when you're feeling, like, oh gosh, this person was so bad for me. They were so terrible for me. All these things they did to me. And those are real. Those are things that you feel. But there's a degree of healing that only comes when you are able to really look in the mirror and own, I chose that. So the question I need to ask myself is not why did they do what they do? I mean, it's great if you can kind of understand what's going on over there so you know what to avoid. But really, the ultimate question is, why did I allow that in my life? And what do I need to do to make sure I don't do that anymore? So it's really becomes, and the really beautiful thing about that is it's so empowering, because if it's something that is on me, which is really heavy when I first and scary when I first think about it, but I have control of it. I have power over it. I can make the difference. I don't need anybody else to make that difference for me. I can choose differently anytime I want to. And so coming into this new relationship with that knowledge, like, I'm here because I choose to be. So I need to either choose differently if it's not working for me, or I need to choose, I need to figure out what I need to do to make this work for my life. And then you can enlist the aid of your partner once you know that. And then it becomes really easy, because it's, there's still work. I don't want to mislead anyone. It's still work, but it's work that has such a good feel to it. It's like the difference between, I don't know, cleaning your bathroom, which nobody likes. It's gross and it's icky and it's no fun at all, versus, maybe building a deck, and even though it's hard work and you're putting a lot into it, when you're done, you have this beautiful deck to hang out and enjoy, and you're out in the sunshine, banging hammers, which, maybe that's not somebody else's idea of fun, but for me, that sounds like fun. And so you're doing something that is hard, but it's good. And so it's just a night and day difference. Once you understand how much you own, you also understand how much you control.
Yeah, it's so empowering because when we truly accept that we are in the situation that we are in because we co-created, and I want to say this in the most loving way to people, is that every journeys that happen in our life was meant to take us to a better place, even though it may not be fun. They are, I don't want people to have this expectation that you got to figure it all out. We have the roadmap because we gone through it. We got the education, we did the training, we worked on ourselves. So we have like a pretty clear cut.
Yeah, it's easy to look
How
at
to
it in
avoid those.
hindsight and go, this is the way.
Yeah, like avoid those pitfalls. And I wish I could have hired a relationship coach back when I was younger, but it took me through all those journeys to be here sitting today and talking to the amazing Wendy, who is so passionate about what she does. And so that really allows you to have like insight of like what each relationship teach you something about yourself. each relationship gives you a clue, gives you key into how do I better decipher and filter these men that are no longer good for me, you know, or that are not compatible to me. We gone through that. We figure out the map. We're trying to share it to you so you don't have to go through hit walls and, you know, and rocky shores, and save your heart as much as possible, because that heart is so precious. But I want people to understand that don't be so hard on yourself when you didn't figure it out completely. Just know when to reach out to people. If you're going to invest on something, relationship is a big component. But when we're talking about relationship, we're talking about romantic relationship. But when you figure how to deal with the whole relationship with self, with a loving partner, it really cascades on all relationship. Seriously. And when you have a thriving relationship with yourself, with your partner, your career, money, abundance, they kind of just flow because you're so in sync, you're so aligned with who you are, and that energy radiate. And I say that not to be cheesy, but I say that because I know it to be true. There is different things. So I'm going off track a little bit here, but I wanted to say to people, if you're struggling and you haven't figured it all out, don't be so hard on yourself. You're learning, you're doing your very best. Where you're at is exactly where you need to be, but know that we have people such as Wendy and I and other people that are there that are truly invested and want to see you succeed. So don't be shy to reach out, because sometimes getting that wisdom, somebody who has a clear map, can save you so many years and heartache and money. And I just give briefly, like I work with many of my clients, but one of my clients, she invested so much money on personal growth and different things like this, and it's great, but it never got her where she needed to be. And then after working with me, like the amount of money that she saved this lady, and now she's in a thriving relationship. She looks back and I was like, where were you before? I'm like, it's always here.
Yeah,
Just
I
saying.
agree. You know, and even like sitting here now looking back, I can say, yeah, this is it. The thing that flipped the switch for me was really owning my part in it and taking that power back. But I didn't see that right away. It was hard. It was scary. I had help. That's what got me into coaching. Was I got with a coach. You know, I took a few classes and that was helping. And the place I was taking my classes from had coaches available, and I was like, oh, I don't deserve that, I can't afford that. And then I finally thought, you know, I need to do something, and so I went ahead and I tried it. I figured they had a special deal, you know, where it was, you know, an introductory kind of thing for people that were already in the classes, and I tried it, and that's where I got the support to actually be able to lean in and do it. You know, doing it by yourself is really, really hard. People can do it. I've seen it happen, but it's so hard. And you're so much more likely to stop just short of the point where you are really making the breakthrough that changes your life. And it really does. Getting good at relationship changes everything. It makes not only your own personal life fabulous, I can vouch for that, but also, like you were
Me
saying,
too.
yes, like you were saying, you know, it trickles down into everything, because everything that we do is relationships, business, our kids, our friends, our, you know, just being out in the world, you're dealing with people. They're out there, you know? And so these skills kind of translate. And plus, just your whole vibe is different. So you're interacting with the world in a different way. And it just, doors open and the sun comes flooding in. And I know it sounds, like she said, it sounds cheesy, but that's what happened. That's been my experience. And I hear this from so many different people. And so I know that it's true. And I've seen my clients experience it. And it's like, oh, that's why I get out of bed every morning. I get to see that. I get to witness that happening in real time. And it's like, this is amazing.
It's the
But yeah,
best, because
it's
what's
huge.
happening is that you're vibrating at a higher frequency when you have that love that you pour into yourself, and that love that you have the connection with your partner, and really cascade. Because when you are at a higher frequency, you attract better and more abundance,
Yes.
better things into your life. They just all of a sudden starts falling into you. Like, where were they before? I mean, when I left my unhealthy relationship, money just start falling out from the sky. I'm like, where were you when I desperately needed you?
Yeah.
So that is one of among many reasons, but that is one of the huge component of why you start attracting all of these good things into your life, because you're radiating at a much, much different
Mhm.
vibration for sure. I want to be able to ask this question to you. So please share 2 to 3 tips that may be useful for people who are struggling to overcoming difference of opinion and how to best solve or deepen the bond so to make their relationship much more healthier. So what would you
Yeah.
say some of those tips would
So
be?
Um, one of the things I think that people struggle with, and this isn't just men, it's funny because typically women kind of tend to think, oh, I am so in tune with my emotions and stuff. And a lot of times we aren't as in tune with them as we think we are. So, really being open to emotions and understanding that there's no such thing as a bad emotion. People talk about negative
Mhm.
emotions, they're not.
Mhm.
Your emotions are there, they're not always rational, they're not always factual, but they're real and they matter and they're trying to tell you something. So they're just information. If I feel angry, that's something in me, my body, my subconscious telling me something's not right here and you need to figure it out. So it's just information. It's not good or bad. And same with, my partner, if he is feeling shut down and sad, it's really easy to take that personal because I tend towards anxious attachment. Um,
Mhm.
we're doing both better, very secure now, but you have a tendency towards some type or other, and so my tendency is towards anxious. So when he shuts down a little bit, because he tends towards um,
Avoidant.
avoidant attachment, which is a whole nother conversation. If you don't know about it, look it up. But because that's good information. But
Yeah.
he tends to shut down when he's upset, and for me that's almost painful. And so I had to learn, and I had to be okay with that. I had to be open to his feelings, that they're not good or bad. They don't mean what my brain wants to make them mean. They're just information. Okay, he's sad. Now I know that I can figure something out and I can support him in a way that is good for him. And that benefits me because then he's again back to being available for what I need. So really being comfortable with emotions. And if you're not, oops, sorry. Hit the wrong button. When you are not comfortable with them, it is really difficult to actually have those deep meaningful conversations. So one of the ways that you can help, and this is my second kind of tip for this, is when you are feeling those emotions, of course, it's very difficult sometimes if they're very intense because it actually affects your whole physiology. You think, oh, I'm feeling some kind of way, and you don't realize that also at the same time your body is responding to that. Your heart rate is elevating, your adrenaline is pumping, you got all kinds of hormones just running loose in your body, and so you're not exactly at your best and most rational self. So learning how to regulate your nervous system is one of the best gifts you can give yourself and your partner, so that when you are elevated, when something does kind of take you out, some big emotion, that you're able to recover quickly and be able to be really present. So a lot of times people say, well, what do you mean by being present if they're not familiar? We forget sometimes working in this industry that not everyone is familiar with all the terminology. So that's just really being open and available, and
Mhm.
in the moment with yourself and your partner. So that's hard to do if you're really jacked up on, fear, anxiety, sadness, anger. So learning how to work with your body system, because your body has a system to deal with that. It doesn't know the difference between my partner is shut down and upset and a saber-toothed tiger is coming at me. It hasn't quite evolved that
Mhm.
far yet.
Mhm.
So I have to do that work. I have to work with my system to tell it it's time to calm down. You're not in danger. It's going to be okay. And there's a lot
Mhm.
of really, really easy, quick ways to do that. So if that's a skill set that you have, it makes conflict a lot easier because when you do start to get elevated, you can bring it right back down and be very present and able to communicate. So those are kind of my 2 big tips. There's a lot of nuance to that, and there's a lot of different directions you can take it. But if you
Mhm.
can stay calm, then you're able to engage those things you've learned. So communication techniques, using different ways of coming to Rye's point when she was talking about bringing it in without all of the blame and bringing your concerns up in a gentle way that's easy for people to hear. It's hard to do that if you're not calm. So learning how to bring your nervous system into alignment with the way you want to communicate is a really good gift to give yourself.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think one of the big thing for all human being is mastering our emotion. Our emotion, and I often have to remind this to myself a lot. I always think about like very successful people, how they always stay calm in an event of a crisis. Why? Because their nervous system is so much more calmer. Because when your nervous system is hijacked, like she had mentioned, Wendy, a saber-tooth tiger is about to devour you. You're not thinking straight. The logical side is completely like jammed up. It's not able to thoroughly process information properly because now you're working at a stress level. Your cortisol is jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is that you're not able to take in the information and hear it properly and decipher what your partner is trying to tell you. So that's why mastering your emotion, I often have to remind myself, I am not my thought. I am not my emotion. I am in control. And I say this often to myself, I am the master of my destiny. So whenever I feel a certain emotion, rather than like reacting and start, doing stuff, I actually have to tell myself, calm down. Nobody's dying right now. You're okay. But it takes practice, for the longest time. I remember when I would go off on vacation, and this is slightly, I would go off on vacation, come back from going back to work 2 or 3 weeks after, and I get a panic. I'm like, I don't think I can do my job. I don't think I'll know. Like 3 weeks have maybe things change. Maybe I forgot how to do my. I'm like, seriously, you've been in that job for like over 10 years. You can forget it after 3 weeks. I'm like, where's this anxiety coming from? So then I would have to play it to myself. Everything is okay, Ree. You're going to remember everything that you. Sometimes we have irrational fears. And so it's the same thing when it comes to relationship. You have these irrational fear and like these emotions pop up. Your partner did something and you're thinking, oh my God, he did this on purpose. Or he's, and I'm not feeling love and I'm not feeling this. But you really need to say, where is this really truly coming from? Is it him? Is it you? But my biggest suggestion is think that it must be you first before you start pointing the finger at the other person. Is asking yourself, what about this situation? Am I contributing to the result of where it is? What can I do first to make sure that I elevate the circumstance, to make sure that we have a better fighting chance? And if there's a missing component from our partner, great. But if you learn to be self-sufficient and not depend your happiness on somebody else fulfilling that, you feel so empowered. So the first thing that I practice is, because I always practice that everything that happened, it's me doing it to myself. So the first thing that I do is I look and see, what can I do? What in my power and strength can I bring to this relationship to make it better before I start kicking it? I still have the default of, it's easier pointing the finger, but I try. I'm not perfect yet, but I try to think about how I say I love this person. The main goal of being in this relationship is I want it to succeed. What is my main objective? I love this person. I want it to succeed. So what in my power can I bring to make this better? And oftentimes as I do that, I realize a lot of it just comes from me. Of my own baggage, my own traumas, my own wound. And I realized, oh my God. But then there is this very strong, you feel strong in this. You're like, I can fix my own problem. It doesn't have to all be that person.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have emotional mastery, very little things affect you.
Mm-hmm.
And to feel like you're in control and little things can actually hit on your nerve, I tell you, it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling ever. So all I just say, work on your emotion. You are not your thought. You are not your body. You are not your emotion. You are a very, very intelligent person, and you have every ability to be able to heal yourself and soothe yourself. I wanted to add to that. I wanted to say something about for women as well. Intuition. When it comes to relationship, you guys are badass with intuition. We got it down pat. I don't know who's giving it to us, but listen to them. So when I go into a relationship, it is so important for us. Our number one responsibility, and this I didn't know before, uh, but a relationship coach said this, and it was really good. He's very famous, Matthew Hussey, I think. He said your number one responsibility should be guarding your own heart. Like, see yourself as like this human that was put on this earth, and your only objective is to protect this human. And you making sure when it comes to relationship that he or she is actually getting herself into situation that it's healthy for her, where it nurture her, where it expands her, where it grows her, and bring her to the essence of who she truly is. So when you're watching this like little, it's like I think about Pikachu, you know, when you play the game Little Pikachu, well, you play the little game of your own human, and you make sure you fed her well and give her good nutrition, and that she's eating well and she's connecting with the right people. Your only responsibility is to protect this human being, protect this human being's heart. So be wise about how you engage into a relationship with the opposite sex, and always listen when the feeling sinks in and you're like, something is off about this relationship. Whatever that something is, pay attention and do a little bit of research. And maybe it could be you, but oftentimes I can tell you from my own experience, from not listening to my intuition when I was told not to marry that person. And then with my second partner, they're not the right fit for you. I'm like, I'm so going to make this shit work.
I have so been there. Yeah, it doesn't
I'm
work.
strong, I'm powerful. Can do this. I'm gonna make it work. And I find out, oh my God, I can't win. I can't make it.
Yeah, that's totally what I did to myself with my previous relationship. You know, I came out of that abusive relationship. I got sorted out. I did my trauma work. I, you know, dealt with my anxiety and my depression, worked with a therapist. I'm like, I'm all good now. And I get bumped into my high school sweetheart 30 years later. And I was like, yay, this is perfect. He's so wonderful. And he is an amazing human being.
Right.
However, we spent a lot of time hanging out and enjoying each other and getting reacquainted, and thought, yeah, this is great. And we actually got married. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is great. And right after we got married, things just kind of started a really rapid decline. I guess we didn't have to pretend anymore. And we realized, unfortunately, after we had done that step, that we wanted very different things from a relationship. We never talked about that. We just assumed, because we knew each other from before, and we assumed we knew what each other was about.
Right.
And it was like, oh no, wait, you want it how? What you wanted? You want to just be very chill and relax and have a lot of fun and not talk about anything important ever? Oh, that does not work for me. So, you know, it's weird because, like I said, we had the experience of knowing each other before, so we really didn't take the time to dig into anything. Oh my gosh. And so it was so painful because we really care deeply for each other. We still do. We're still friends. And
Yes.
it was never going to
Yeah.
work between us because he was absolutely happy being that guy. And that's great. More power to him. Go do that. I'm not that girl. So I had to come to the realization, I put myself in this situation. I need to take care of it. And so I had to end it. And it was hard. And that was honestly, I think breaking up with someone is actually harder than being broken up with for me. It was awful. I felt so terrible. But at the end of the day, you know, I think we both came to realize it was a good thing for both of us because it freed us up both to find that person that really was going to be a good fit for us. So sometimes
And
you
I have a
have to
similar,
make
yeah.
that call.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I would say something, sometimes the person that we love the most are not the person that's meant to stay in our life. It's so hard to hear. It's so hard because I am like a hopeless romantic. I don't have my blinders on anymore and my pink color glasses, although I love life and I see a lot of things in positivity. I've come to realize that sometimes the people that we love the most may not always necessarily be the person that we're meant to be with for the rest of our life. And today it is okay. But for a long time, it was never okay for me to accept that because I was like, I'm almighty powerful. Nobody can stop me. And that's a great quality to have. Okay. It's a badass quality for me, but used in the right context, it would be great. Used in the wrong context, fighting for a relationship that you know is not going to work out, not the best idea.
Yeah.
But it
That's-
was similar to you, absolutely, to come to this, you know, I knew what I wanted out of my previous relationship. We love each other very deeply. Great guy, wonderful man. I am happy that although I was not happy, he decided to walk. And to you, on my part, I think being walked out, like for somebody breaking up with you, it's harder. I mean, I prefer walking out on a relationship because I'm so good at that.
What was my first
But
time? So
yes, but so it was my very first time of actually having somebody walked out of the relationship. So the rejection, the abandonment, you know, like the fear that I had as a child started kicking in. So now my saber-tooth tiger I'm being eaten is like hyped up, jack up big time, even though I was not dying. But I worked through it. What I was gonna share is that I wanted to, when the person requested to leave the relationship, I wanted to fight for it. I never give up on situation. I'm like the most horrible person that doesn't know how to give up. But one lesson that I would like to tell people is that's a great quality. Just know when it's the right time to fight for it and when it's time to let go. Okay. There's a good moment for everything. And in this particular relationship, although the person is a great person and I'm a good person, we just don't have it aligned together. He was into partying. He loves partying. I'm more of a girl who likes a good party once in a while. I can throw a pretty badass party, but I like the calm and the peacefulness. I like to be at home. I like to be with my lover. I like to do the small, simple thing that life has to bring. I I have the mission to serve people, to make a difference in the world. He has no interest in that at all. For him, it's making money. That's all he really care about. So we were clashing in so many different ways. And I didn't want it to see it. I saw it at the beginning, but it wasn't very clear. And yet I was still forcing it. When you feel like you have to work so hard and you're trying to force something that doesn't want to come together, that's when you start to realize you have to take a step back and really question, is this what I'm willing to do? Because if you're going to fight for that relationship constantly, chance are it will actually end up dissolving. Usually a good healthy relationship, I don't know if you agree, Wendy, is it takes work and it's a compromise between the two. It's never equal 50-50%. It's like sometimes you do 70%, they do 30%. Some other times, you know, it's like 50-50, 60-40, but it always kind of balances itself out. But when you're forcing a relationship so badly, the energy, you can feel the vibration, it's going to break. The things that you don't, you have this like ability, like in Wendy's case, when she wasn't looking for her partner, her husband right now, that is a good match, he came to her. And a relationship is similar, is that you should work, you should be intentional, but you should never force something to make it fit because it was not meant. I tell this to myself today. If someone is meant for you, no matter what you do, they'll always be around. They'll stick around. So it's that work on you, working on being your best version that you want to show up every single day because you're doing it for you. Number one, you're doing it for you first. And it's an extra bonus that it gets added to your partnership. but you should never be doing things for somebody else. Like, for example, when I work out in the morning, I tell it to my boyfriend and I remind him often. He's like, yeah, oh my God, you got such a great body. I'm like, fantastic. I love that. But that's a bonus. I
Mhm.
work out not for him. I work out for me. I work out because I like the way I look, the confidence that it brings me, the way the clothing fits for me. But I do it because I want to live healthy and I want to be vibrant. So do it for you first. I'm kind of deviating here, but my brain
Okay,
goes,
no, I agree wholly. And it kind of falls right back into, in order to be in alignment, you have to
mhm,
know yourself and what you want. And that kind of, so we're kind of full circle there, because that's when you're trying to force a relationship that isn't really in alignment with what you want,
yeah.
you're just, oh gosh, it's so painful because you're doing it to yourself and you don't even realize it. And
Mhm,
it's the only person that can change that is you. So it's really, yeah, I would say just like the very first thing is to just really go deep and get to know yourself and what's
mhm,
important to you, and then honor that. You deserve it. Um,
yeah. In
but
relationship that really works out too. Finish your thought, Wendy.
oh yeah, no, I was just saying that it's, I think a lot of times we put ourselves last and we think, oh, what I want and what I need isn't important. What you want and you need is everything, because without honoring that, you can't be you. And without being you, you're not bringing your best to anybody else, anyways. It's like there's just, it's astounding to me now that I know better, and I didn't always,
Yeah.
how much I was leaving on the table with in all my relationships with my kids, with my coworkers, because I was putting myself last because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I thought, "Oh, I'm a people person. I care. I'm supposed to take care of everybody else." And
Ooh,
I still am
the
that
connection,
person.
the yeah.
I still am a person who cares and who takes
Can you
care
just
of other
repeat that
people.
last sentence though? Because the internet was like a little bit
Oh no.
unstable.
Yeah,
Repeat because it
no.
was important what you said.
I spent all my time because I was a people person. And so I was taking care of everybody around me. And I thought, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a people person. I care. And this is how I show that to people. And that is who I am. But because I wasn't taking care of me first, it wasn't effective. And I wasn't being true to myself. I wasn't able to be fully me. And so everything that I did was just watered down and small. And now I don't have to be small. I can be out here on a podcast talking to the whole world, whoever wants to watch it, and say, hey, this is important stuff. Pay attention.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm able to do that because I'm taking care of
yeah,
myself and doing what matters to me. I'm
yeah.
not stuck in a corporate job where I can only help this much and it's making me crazy. I'm actually able to be with people and really help them in a meaningful way. And I would have never been able to do that if I hadn't been true to myself and
Mm,
understood, no, this is really important to me. I need to get this right for me. So
yeah.
I totally agree with
Yeah.
you. We're on the same page.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, this is so crucial because the relationship that will always be with you, that never disappoint, is the relationship with yourself. And you know, the secret of attracting the men and keeping them attracted to you for the longest time, for a long term, is when you invest in yourself. When you, not in a like a egocentric kind of way, self-centered kind of way, but when you honor yourself, when you carry yourself with so much confidence, so much respect for yourself, it is really captivating and extremely sexy for a man to be around a woman like that, because they can sense the high value woman that they are with. And so when you treat yourself with that much respect, the guy will follow. And you know, I
And if
hate to
they
say
don't, you
this.
won't tolerate it. So problem solved
Exactly.
either way.
Exactly. So you actually like filter out all of the wrong guys that can't handle you, and you attract in the high value men that can handle you as the queen, and they are a match to you. So treat yourself with a lot of love, do things for you, nurture yourself. When you honor yourself, it's automatically, it's the next things that they do. They're like, with this woman, I can't just like play games with her. I can't like trick her. It's like I gotta be the real thing. So it's key. It's huge in the attraction phase. I mean,
For
not just
sure.
the attraction, the attraction between two partner. And I wanted to point on this one too. One of the things that I realized in relationship, looking at my relationship and looking at my clients' relationship, when they're able to be transparent and honest from the beginning, when they meet each other, they're like, I have no time to waste. This is me. This is what I want. This is my life goal. This is the, without going like, I want kids, I want, bombarding the guy like, woo. But, talking about a general overview, this is the vision of what I want. I want to be able to serve and make this world a better place. I'm looking for a partner that's this and this, that has transparency, good communication. I no longer want chaos and all of these things. I don't want somebody who's a drinker, a smoker. You say it in a way that's very general without judgment. And because what you're doing is that you're showcasing the real you in all your entirety. You're allowing that person to see the real you. And when they show the real them too, two people are able to much more understand each other from a level that is not superficial. I mean, when I started doing that with my relationship of like, this is me, and I am not good at cleaning and I am not good at cooking. Is that something you can live with? If it's something you can't live with, you're welcome to walk. And because I was so honest and so upfront, and I knew what I wanted and what I would not tolerate, it cut through the filter. Like I didn't have to spend months trying to figure out, is this guy this? Is he gonna match on that? Do I have to watch out for the I ain't got time. Seriously, when you become like a high quality one, you ain't got time for shit like that anymore. You're like, I got better stuff to accomplish here. I got to change the world. Like, no time for that right now. I need a partner that's already ready. And that's what you have to remember. And I said that to myself, I don't no longer want to date unready partner. Before, what really nourished me without knowing is that I had to save my partner. I didn't know that because I'm in the helping field. So I thought it was part of the nurturing part, the woman side of me. I need to take care and fix them, and I can mold them into something beautiful. I got to take them broken and make it into this beautiful project, like you had said. I
Mhm.
realized that doesn't work at all. As validating that is, it's all about you. So
Absolutely.
I actually decided in my new relationship for it to work is that I want somebody who's already meeting me when they're ready at the point we're going to learn and grow with each other together. So I would leave it at that. We're coming to close to the hour. We went over the hour a little bit, but which is okay. But I want to be able to ask these two questions to Wendy because it's so important. I wanted to, I think we had said this. Okay, so recap with me unless I already asked this question. So during trying time in a relationship, what does one have to remember to ensure its success,
Yep.
Wendy?
And yeah, we talked about that. And that is just being, and I guess I was saying in a different way, the same thing you're saying, being transparent, being real, feel your feelings, share your feelings, be open to your partner doing the same because that mutuality kicks in. And then learning to regulate your nervous system. So learning, and it's not for me, it's not so much about controlling my emotions because they're going to
Mhm.
come, but recognizing the difference between
Mhm.
thoughts and emotions and then regulating the actual physiological responses in my body so that when I'm feeling those big feelings, they don't take over and I'm in control. So it's
Mhm. I
like I
love
said,
that.
different ways of saying the same thing. But yeah, I think that we both kind
Mhm.
of hit on that and it's so important. Like so many of the problems that we have are we project onto our partner our own inability to stay in control of ourself. And so learning to do that is huge and finding a partner who knows how to do that. Like you don't want to be having to teach them that. um, it's unless you're both learning something together, but you don't want a mismatch there because if you're over here doing a bang up job controlling your own responses and they're just all over the place, that's going to be a problem. And it doesn't mean everybody has
Yeah.
to be perfect to be in a relationship, but you just have to be willing to learn and be open and in process of learning these things. It shouldn't be, oh, I have to drag you kicking and screaming.
I want to be able to give out this 2 or 3 secret that I've noticed that really work with my clients, but also works with me when it comes to picking a partner early on. But for sure, we have to really know ourselves, know what we want, all of the non-negotiable and all of that stuff. But I think it comes down to really like, it's beautiful if you're looking at a guy and he's super attractive and he's charismatic and all of those beautiful quality. But what it comes down is picking the characteristic of that human being, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with that person. So I remember when I was with my ex-husband, is like I was in love with the man, but I couldn't stand him as a friend. I didn't want him in my circle. And I couldn't understand the discrepancy. How could you be in love with somebody and not like them as a person? So I was wrestling with that idea. So all that just to say is that when you're picking a partner, look at their characteristic that you want, that matches with you. And when I started doing that, I was a better judgment in filtering the right kind of partner in my life. So me, I know that honesty is huge. Loyalty is big. Generosity being another one. So when I started picking my partner on, is this person an honest person? Because when they're honest, they're much more accountable and reliable to do what they say they're going to do. And they're much more consistent. So honesty was big. And loyalty, I'm a very loyal person. Like once I'm in a relationship, you can be the most beautiful man with a whole bunch of money. I ain't seeing you. I just can't see you because the only vision I have is my partner. And thank God it is like that, because if I was to see everybody and be like hard to cast, like to shut down all of these different things. So I only have one radar once I'm in a relationship. So that's good. So look for the characteristic of the person, because what I really want to be able to do is connect at a deeper level with the other human being, right? So that's one of my secrets. Look at the characteristic. And number 2, I would say for people, and you can share this, Wendy, too, that, in your own experience. But number 2 is really, I always say, if you learn to love and respect yourself first and foremost, automatically everything else comes into play.
Yep, I agree.
Because if you learn to honor yourself, if a relationship, I used to be fearful in a relationship going, oh my God, I wonder if he loves me. Because if he loves me, then I feel better about myself. That means I must be special. But I'm giving my power away to somebody else to dictate the way I should be feeling, how I feel good about myself, my happiness. But now I'm at the point, and I haven't quite achieved it yet. I'm still working on that, but I know it's there, and I'm so excited to work on it, is that, I'm in a relationship with somebody. Yes, it's a bonus, it's a plus. But if that person comes and go, because life, it's all about change, and we can never control that. It's one day you could be completely in love, and the next day something happened, illness or some other tragedy, an accident or whatever, and they disappear from your life. And if your life is so consumed, your identity is so invested into that relationship, when those catastrophic situations happen, you are completely like broken down completely. And not to say that you can't grieve and heal, but if you depend on that happiness, it becomes very vulnerable. So I'm at the point where I'm like, if a person is in my life, great. If they walk away for whatever reason that's beyond my control, but it also released my need to control, because we think, we, especially as female, as women, that we can control so many things because we're so good at multitasking. We're like superwomen. No, unfortunately, we're not superwomen. We can only do so much. We're human. Is that when you learn to just be okay with you and loving you, and that having a partner is just a bonus on the icing. If they leave, if something ever happened, you're going to be solid. You're going to be okay. And that is extremely powerful. So I'm repeating and recapturing some of the stuff. And the third one that I say, always, always listen to that damn intuition, girl. if you're feeling something's off, he may be unfaithful or he may be doing something, or, you got that intuition, listen and check. Do your research without being invasive, but you got to protect your heart, guard your heart first before you decide I give my all. Before giving your all to other people and doing it so fast, make sure that you guard this heart first, and then you can invest once you see that they are just as invested in you. I will leave it at that. I said way too much already. Wendy, do you have something to add to that?
No, I agree with that. You have to be complete yourself. As a matter of fact, I just posted this in my Facebook group a couple days ago, and maybe it was even yesterday, but and I don't remember the exact quote. So I'm sorry, person who said it, but it was basically relationships aren't about completing yourself. It's about bringing your completeness and enhancing it with their completeness.
Mm.
So it's basically two whole people coming together and having value added to what they already are and have by themselves. So it's not about, oh gosh, I need to find my other half. It's about being a whole and being with another whole person and getting all the extra benefits that come with that. It's actually pretty magical. So it's funny because we're not taught that. We're taught the fantasy all the time growing up. And it's really unfortunate because that causes so much harm. But once you really get it and you're out there being you, whole and complete, you will attract other amazing people. And just, yeah, we keep coming back to it, but it's like life gets better. So it really does.
It really does. We're not even kidding. Seriously, it's a really great place to be.
Yeah, that's why I decided to start coaching, because I was like, this is amazing. I wish I had known it 30 years ago. And so now I want to make sure I'm out there telling I mean, I will grab people on the street, like, you need to know this. It's so important. And it's not something we're taught. Our parents didn't know it, from the most part, unless you were very fortunate. And it's something now that is available out there. People have access to more information, but you still got to go and you got to reach out for it and you got to learn it and you got to take it in. So don't put yourself last. Put yourself first, and everything else will follow, because you'll be able to do the things that you want to do because you will be working from a full cup.
Exactly. Perfect. We are like expanding so much. We weren't trying to give so much value so that we're like completely hooked into this whole topic. So we hope that you really appreciate it. We're coming close to the end, but I want to be able to say, Wendy, tell us, like, I want to be able to celebrate you and share like what is happening in your world right now, what kind of programs you have going on, and how can people reach you?
Yep. So I have a group program coming up in August. It's just about full. But in the meantime, there is a checklist that you can get from me for absolutely no money, free. It's just a how to get heard in your relationship. So how, like Rhea was talking about, where you need to approach it a certain way, and speak uh, from your heart, and without all the blame and judginess. And it brings that out. And it also tells you how to listen well. So it's just a checklist to kind of get you in the zone, so that until you're able to build up your skills, you have a place to start. And it's, like I said, it's just a quick download. But when you download that, you'll also get the opportunity to book a free session with me if that's something you're interested in. I work primarily with couples, but I do work with individuals. And I work mostly around your getting that communication piece sorted out, so that you're able to have those really deep conversations and get really deeply connected, and whether that's with yourself or with a partner. And so I'm not sure how you do, Reed. Do you just put the links in the show notes when you have?
Yes, I will be putting the links that people can download that are listening to it, so they can actually download it there. And just a little distinction between, because what Wendy and I do, we are both extremely complementary, and we see abundance, so we see the value of both of us coming together. And I have such an amazing, like, seriously, this really I can talk to Wendy for hours. Really uplifted us. So Wendy really works a lot with couple, and she's really good at that. I work mostly with single women for sure, to bring them through the dating process and how to really build their dating profile and what to say and how to decode men behavior, and really getting them to a successful relationship of finding their true love. but we both individually, I do have couple that reach out to me when they really need it, but my main focus is single
Mhm.
people, and Wendy is couple,
Mhm.
and I like her too if people needs to reach
And
out, because yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, even when I do work with individuals, it's people that are in relationship. It's not people looking to be in a relationship that I work with. So, but yeah, primarily couples. It's more effective when you're in a relationship if both people can come to the table so that you can work together on it. So that's my preference for
absolutely.
sure.
And we have, yeah. And we have such like beautiful flavor. So, whatever flavor speaks to you, sometime it be with Wendy, sometime it be with Ree. We're all good. As long as you got your relationship together, we're happy for you. So it doesn't
Yes,
matter
yes.
to us
That's
who
why we've been
you're
talking so long.
into.
You
We
get
just
two
want to be able
relationships.
to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. We just get so excited. That was kind of my point. We get so
Make it
excited
a
about this
tradition.
stuff. So it's like
Mhm.
we would talk all day about this if we could.
Exactly. And we really believe in supporting each other. And I believe in empowering women. So supporting other women's, like I got the grateful opportunity to meet Wendy through Stephanie. I wanted to say thank you to Stephanie for that. And so I love this conversation. I mean, I wrote so much note in this, and I'm like an expert in that thing, and I still had to take notes. So we'll never stop learning. So thank you for that, Wendy. Thank you for taking your precious time to be with us, to be with the audience. I'm wishing you so much success. I want you to leave with one last quote of inspiration to people that are in relationship or seeking a much healthier relationship. What is that one quote that has served you in your lifetime?
Yeah, it really came through the journey that I took to really step into my own power. And that was, until you take ownership of your life, you'll always be chasing happiness. And I was chasing it so hard. And then once I really started owning my part in the situations I found myself in and empowering myself to do something about it, I didn't have to chase it anymore. Happiness just showed up. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
hey, come on in. Nice to see you.
Because you've done the work yourself. When you become really good and you've done the work on yourself,
Mhm.
when that compatible partner shows up, you just know. You instantly know. You don't even have to ask yourself, does he has this? You inside, you're like, yep, that's my person.
Yep.
And that is the truth. Wendy, how do they reach you? Do they reach you by email? Like what is, I
Yep.
really don't want people to miss on how they can actually contact you.
So probably if you're anxious to talk right away and you want to reach out, you can always email info@therelationshipnerd.com, just like it is on the screen there, the relationship nerd, except for all run together. And I will definitely respond to those. And like I said, if the download will be in the show notes, you can download that, and then that will give you an email with the contact info in it as well. So either way works.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm wishing everybody a fantastic day. Wendy, such a pleasure to have you. And I'm so honored to be working with a powerful relationship coach. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I
Thank you so much, everybody. Wishing you a fantastic day.
have a great one, and thank you so much, Bree.
Thank you.